Well, wow. Some of this stuff you really can't script. First of all, the 49ers just took the Seahawks to the woodshed 27-7. That would have been a shutout had the special teams unit not screwed it up there on the field goal. But the 49ers defense pitched a shutout. That was obviously extremely impressive. But the news that everybody's going to be talking about is Trey Lance done for the season. I believe it was a fractured ankle. I don't have the exact diagnosis on Trey Lance in this game right now. I think Schefter's tweet had it, surgery. He's done. Jimmy Garoppolo has retaken over as 49ers quarterback. It's obviously stuff that you would script in a Hollywood movie. I mean, this whole quarterback back and forth and all the drama of the past couple of years has now returned to the place where it was before today. Now, I tweeted it about 5 minutes before Trey Lance got hurt. They ran him in between the tackles twice to open the game, once with a big hit. And it was like, well, this doesn't seem sustainable. And I feel that's really something that you can't, it was part of the deal with the way that the 49ers were breaking Trey Lance into the NFL. He obviously was still developing as a passer. The run game was going to be a massive part of how he acclimated at the NFL level. And Kyle Shanahan was going to try to conceal the fact that he wasn't the most developed passer yet by running. So part of the deal was an increased injury risk. And I think that's where Kyle Shanahan really miscalculated, because he didn't factor in the fact that this could happen to Trey Lance if you run against bigger, faster, stronger NFL defenders so frequently. And he ended up getting hurt. Now, maybe Shanahan did factor it in, and that's why they were adamant to get Jimmy Garoppolo back. But in a lot of ways, the 49ers were lucky that Jimmy Garoppolo came back this season. They ended up being tremendously fortunate, and now they can move forward with Jimmy on the roster as their QB1 for the rest of this 2022 run. And today was a promising start in that regard. He was sharp. It was raining. He did everything that he needed to do. He came out firing, I think, 5 for 5 or 6 for 6. That touchdown to Dwelly was impressive. The average depth of target, in fact, early on for Jimmy Garoppolo was over 11 yards downfield for those first 10 passes or so. So, I mean, he looked healthy. He obviously is healthy, and the 49ers will need to keep him that healthy. I can't believe that Kyle had the stomach to run Jimmy in between the tackles twice in a row, including the quarterback sneak there at the end of the game. To me, I mean, it's definitely criticizable stuff, the way that they ran Trey Lance into the ground. But again, that was part of the deal with Lance, but you got to preserve Garoppolo at all costs if you're the 49ers now, because then you have to go to Brock Purdy if Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't stay healthy. The fact that we're back at, where we were before, I mean, if you thought this season was surreal before this, it feels even more surreal now, because the 49ers have, they have exactly the ingredients that we thought they had. It's a dominant defense. You had Nick Bosa just getting after those rookie offensive tackles today. Talanoa Hufanga flying around to the football. The special teams outside of that field goal block was much improved. In fact, they got a Seattle muff punt today to help them out. So you have all of the ingredients that the 49ers thought they had for a complete football team, but now you just reinsert Garoppolo into that quarterback position. They had tried to build this team with runway for Trey Lance to develop over the course of the year. I think the 49ers knew that Jimmy Garoppolo was their better option right now, but they thought they could develop Trey Lance into something that was more efficient. Somebody who was more efficient than Jimmy Garoppolo by the end of the season. Obviously, we won't get to see that plan play out. And I think in the immediate term, the 49ers are more efficient now with Jimmy Garoppolo than Trey Lance. It's going to be a much more standard approach moving forward. That being said, this is terrible news for Trey Lance's development, right? I mean, how's he supposed to develop if he's sitting there with a fractured ankle? He's just going to be rehabbing instead. So along those lines, the 49ers investment has just gotten a major slowdown. But you have to deliver in the here and now in the NFL, and the here and now dictates that Lance is hurt. Garoppolo's the quarterback, and the 49ers just delivered a very dominant performance against the Seattle Seahawks. Again, they outgained them by a ton. They stopped I think, 10 Seattle drives, no points given up by the 49ers defense, essentially a shutout. And obviously Jimmy Garoppolo was sharp. The run game was sharp, 45 carries, 189 yards. So we'll continue monitoring this. I am headed toward the 49ers locker room now. We're going to get to see what Kyle Shanahan had to say because there's going to be a lot of questions for him. Again, though, my take on Lance's usage is simple. I mean, he wasn't a developed passer yet. The 49ers were hoping to develop on the fly. That had to involve some design runs, and that injured Lance. I mean, if there's criticism for the usage of Lance, it's that the 49ers probably should have started Garoppolo instead. But, you know, it's water under the bridge at this point. That's how the 49ers have to treat it. Walking a little bit further here toward the 49ers locker room, there's going to be some interviews going on just outside of it. So I'll be on with more in a little bit. That's the instant reaction for this game. 49ers move to Garoppolo. They're dominant against the Seahawks. I think the truth that they have a very powerful roster was indeed verified in this game. So these guys are absolutely contenders in this 2022 season, and they'll be contenders with Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback. All right, everybody take care. Talk to you soon.